All right, so today we're going to talk about our new 101 Intro to AR class. So Scott, give us some of the details on kind of what we have set up.
So our 101 rifle class used to be 3 to 4 hour class, and it covered just the basic fundamentals of operating the gun. So we found that wasn't quite enough to make the leap to our combat rifle class. So we have completely renovated it and made it a much longer class. It's about 6 to 8 hours depending on how many people are in the class. But what it's going to do for you is we're going to go through the fundamentals and breaking the rifle down, how to clean it, how it functions. We're going to do a lot of dummy round work, dry work, to get the function of it working, and bolt locks and charging handles and getting comfortable handling it. We're also going to do in that class a lot of movement with it, so right turns, left turns, 180-degree turns, getting the students comfortable just being around other people with the rifle, working it safely, doing a lot of loading and unloading the rifle, some dry fire work, and then we're also going to incorporate our simulator with a simulated range. And we have real AR rifles that interact with our simulator, and we're going to do different types of shooting drills on the simulator, all the way from standing and shooting at different distances to moving with the rifle, shooting, setting up, using cover and concealment. So it's really a soup to nuts class. We're not doing any live fire, but the accuracy of the simulator is the same as if you were on the range. You're just not feeling the recoil. But you're learning how to operate the gun, what the trigger feels like, run-in safeties. And so when you're done with the class, you should feel really comfortable about handling the rifle, about operating it, making it safe, loading it, unloading it, and you've already shot some simulated rounds, or actually quite a few in this class. We'll do cover and concealment. So how do we set up for the cover and concealment? How do we move with the rifle into it? We're not going to get super deep in the weeds on all of the parts of cover and concealment, but enough that the person is getting comfortable moving with it and setting up into positions so that when they come to the 201 combat rifle, they are certainly familiar with how to handle the rifle. And in our 201, then we talk about sighting in and that process, and then shooting live rounds and doing live fire.
So obviously it's a much deeper dive compared to like our handgun 101, 102 course. Do you think somebody needs a higher or advanced level of understanding or training, or is this still something that the kind of the normal newbie for the AR platform can come in just kind of off the cuff for?
So this is designed for the brand new person that's just bought a rifle and hasn't used one before, or maybe you've owned a rifle and you shot it on the range a little bit, but you haven't had formal instruction. The reason this class is more in depth is because I think a lot of people are intimidated by the AR-15 rifle and all its controls. So we need to spend more time breaking all those parts down and how they work and how they function. It's much more complex looking. Now, once you get through the training, you're like, oh, it's not really that bad after all, but we got to get people there.
So with our 101 and 102, we also, the big part of that with the handgun side of things is safety. So assuming we're kind of taking that same deep dive as part of this course with safety when it comes to the AR platform.
Oh, absolutely. So we dive deep into the 4 fundamental firearm safety rules, explain how they work anytime you're touching the gun, not just on the range.
They don't change.
They do not change. And this class, even though we're not doing live fire, everything that we handle is treated as if it is a live firearm, because this is the beginning stage. This is where we want to start those fundamentals and ingrain them to make good practices, so that when they get to the rifle classes, they're not stressed about all the little things. They're learning how to shoot, move, the thought process of fighting with your gun. So one of the other things that we want to do in this class is get people comfortable with holding the rifle, with mounting the rifle. So when you leave this class, you will have done enough snap-up drills, shouldering the firearm, holding it, proper grip, proper stance, how to get into the rifle, that when you get to the 201 combat rifle class, you're very familiar with how to get in those positions. So then we're just reinforcing what you learned in the Intro to ARs class. All right, so one of the things about this class, we're going to incorporate the student's rifle. They're going to be able to bring their rifle to the class, so that as we're doing all the dry work and the loading and using dummy rounds for loading drills and dry fire and unloading and malfunction drills, things like that, they're getting comfortable with their rifle and however they have built their rifle out. But then they're going to transition over for our simulator using our training rifles. So if there's any doubt that we have real training rifles, these are real AR-15 rifles that have a unique bolt system and a trigger reset system in them, so that it fires an IR laser and registers on the simulator. So they have all the same controls as they have on their AR-15. We have some optics, some red dots that are going to be coming for these rifles as well. So it's going to operate exactly the same as their AR. Now, it may not have a light in a position that they have on theirs, but that's not the important part. The important part is running the controls, magazine releases, bolt catches, and the selector switch on these rifles, and the stocks adjust. So we have the ability to do that. Also, we can take this rifle and convert it to use Simunition. So what is Simunition? Simunition is a training round that fires a projectile that's intended to be used in force on force. So we could use this and actually fire it and shoot each other, where it's a safe round and it hurts like a son of a gun. And that's the whole point. Pain is the teacher, right? And the felt recoil when you fire these is very similar to an actual round being fired. So we can do training in our indoor space here using this. They're very accurate, and you can get the same feel as in live fire. We also have, this is a specific firearm or a rifle that is set up for Simunition brand munitions, and it uses the 9mm pistol Simunition cartridge, and it has a very specific magazine. And if you notice, it's shorter in the top because it just takes the 9mm rounds, and they would feed in. But all the controls are the same. And again, the felt recoil in this rifle is very similar to an actual rifle. Not quite there, but it's probably 80% of what you would feel with a regular rifle. And of course, this one, we have it set up with a light on it. It's got the optic. And so this is another training option that we have. And our intention in the Intro to AR is to get to where we do fire some of the Sims rounds in that class at specific targets. So we will start out with their rifle, and then we end up in our training guns as well. We can take if they have a standard AR-15, a mil-spec AR-15, we can put this bolt in their rifle and they can shoot the Sims rounds from their rifle. The only difference would be is if they had something like a 9mm AR or a 308 or like a SIG MCX, that type of thing. We don't have bolts for those, but a standard mil-spec AR-15, we can just replace this bolt and they can use Simunition ammunition, and then we have another dedicated rifle for that. So these can be switched out from laser simulator operated firearms to our Simunition setup.
So where do we go? So obviously 201 combat rifle is the next step after this 101 kind of intro to ARs, but what's the step after combat rifle? Are we going to get more into force on force with rifle or room clearing, things like that?
So yeah, so the next step after our 201 combat rifle, we have advanced classes. So everything that we have in advanced class for handgun, we also have for rifle. So we have preparing for the fight classes where we're fighting with the gun. It's a little different. We don't get on the heavy bags and beat the heavy bags while we have the rifle on, but the training concepts are the same. It's usually more CQB-ish, so it's all more close up and personal. We do our cover and concealment class because it is different with a rifle than it is a pistol. Same concept, but getting into the position and things like that, especially when you talk about strong side, support side, and operating the rifle that way. We have classes for the rifle that are like one-handed operations, so downed operator situations. So we learn how to run the rifle with just one hand, whether it's right hand, left hand, learn how to lock the bolt back with one hand, that type of thing. So in case life got really crappy, but you still need to use the rifle to defend yourself, you can operate that thing inside out and upside down. So we have all those advanced classes as well. And when we do our movements and tactics classes, occasionally we will throw on one for using the rifles. Typically that will be in our bigger structure down at our Seaford location, using our auto targets and our ARs.
So there used to be some stuff we could only really do with our tier 3 class of participants, where you've passed the tier 3 course and earned your challenge coin, things like that. What options has the sim guns and the laser guns with the simulator and everything now? What has that brought to the table and kind of opened up to the masses?
Yeah, so we used to do a lot of live fire, combat medical, live fire, tourniquet classes, active shooter, that type of thing. And to get into those classes, we really needed students to be pretty high speed with functioning and safety. So they would have to pass a test to get a tier 3 coin to be able to register for those classes. But now that we have the indoor facility here, and we have the simulator and Simunition in our auto target setup, we have the ability to do those exact same drills, firing weapons that have felt recoil, and do these specialized classes without worry of somebody getting injured. Doesn't mean that we don't take safety importantly, but what it means is if Josh is trying to put a tourniquet on and all of a sudden he sets his gun down sideways and is pointing at his own leg, we can correct it and fix the problem, but we didn't have to worry that Josh could possibly have put a round in himself or somebody else. So we still take safety just as important, but we can make those corrections, and at the end of the day, everybody goes home with the same number of holes that they showed up with. So it's a big advantage. People get comfortable with the firearms without being so nervous that sometimes people will freeze up a little bit, or they have that brain fart that causes the safety problem to begin with. And now they can be in a little bit more, I don't want to use the word relaxed, because people say, oh, if they're relaxing, are they relaxing on their safety? No, we're not. But they also know that they cannot actually shoot themselves. We're throwing the tourniquets on under some stress, and they have to return fire to a bad guy and those type of things. And if they make the mistake, they're making it in training, and it's not a life-ending error. So a lot of people think, well, we need live rounds, we need to shoot live bullets to do these drills. Not necessarily true. I'm not a big proponent of that thought process, because what we can't do on a live fire range is shoot at the person while they're doing whatever function or whatever drill that they're working on, whether it's putting a tourniquet on or trying to get to cover or things like that. But with Simunition and force-on-force training, we absolutely can. So now we're actually able to set up those high-stress scenarios where rounds are actually coming in, because it's Simunition and we don't have to worry about people getting hurt. The 9mm, the pistol Simunition, it stings bad enough that you think about your placement in the second scenario. So it's just enough to make you start thinking about, oh, I shouldn't have done that. The rifle Simunition will instantly make you move and change your thought process. It's a smaller round, and it's coming out, I want to say it's about 50 feet per second faster than the handgun round. And these will change your thought process pretty quick and make you do better in that scenario. So we have a lot of options. We do get some feedback occasionally when people are thinking about signing up for these classes. Oh, I'm going to wait until there's a live fire class, and I think that there's just a group that's stuck on everything has to be a live fire. You must feel recoil when you're doing it. Well, our Simunition rifles, absolutely, you feel the recoil. But think about this. If I'm teaching you a skill set of how to use cover and concealment, what does recoil have to do with where you're placing your body in relationship to the cover or the concealment? What does recoil have to do with how you're handling the rifle or the pistol and muzzle direction and moving of your feet, setting up for a shot? In any drill that you're firing one round, recoil doesn't matter in that drill either, because the recoil is after you fired the one round. Now, I will say this as well. If it's a more experienced shooter, recoil is not really an issue anyway. Your newer shooters, yep, we need to get them into where they're feeling the recoil so they can start managing that. And I'm not saying stop the recoil. I'm saying manage it, getting it to return to the same place. So that in itself is a skill set, but that's just a skill set. All the other skill sets have to be practiced as well that do not require recoil.
Yeah, so this just all opens that door to help build all of those transferable fundamentals that come over to when you do come to one of our live fire classes, and you can just pick this thing up and do work with it.
Yeah, with new shooters, for example, what do I want? What's more important? That they feel recoil, or that they hear and they listen to how to operate the fundamentals of shooting? So that's why a lot of times we'll move from SIRT pistols, Simunition, a Glock that shoots a 22, and then we'll start introducing your 9mm and things like that, because even when they're shooting the 22, they feel a little recoil, but it's not a whole lot. But they're also not worried about the recoil, and they're hearing what I'm telling them about how to control a trigger, what they need in their sights, those type of things. And so they become a good shooter. And then when we step them to the 9mm, now we're just teaching how to manage the recoil. So we like the crawl, walk, run method, and it really helps the shooter just become better. With our intro to AR, we're excited that this should bridge the gap from the new shooter to get them to the combat rifle class, where they're going to learn how to fight with this thing to protect themselves and their loved ones. And we have all of the tools at hand to help get somebody there.
All right, well, guys, we'll plan on seeing you at the next class. So check out our schedules just at DelawareTactical.com, and we'll see you on the next one.